Hi everyone, welcome to the second part of Create Book OCs with me, where we work on character reference sheets based on my, as of now, unreleased books descriptions. So I could then draw artwork for said book and create more animations for this channel in the near future. If you haven't watched the first chapter, I highly recommend checking it out, especially the beginning as it describes the book's main plot and setting. With this out of the way, buckle up, today we're working on mostly positive secondary characters. Neon is the science president of Hariton and a chief scientist of a large scientific facility called Cube. He is absolutely against intrigue at work and strictly monitors order. It has always been his priority. Before becoming a president, Neon used to work at his father's repair shop. He liked his job overall and felt confident in his abilities, but still wanted to have some other way to express himself, something entirely of his own. That's how he started skateboarding. Having mastered the conventional wheeled version, soon Neon switched to more advanced flying models, levee boards, and began to regularly practice in street racing despite his father's discontent. Neon is one of those characters who don't seem to be appearing a whole lot in the beginning, but then become a lot more relevant later on, so having him as the fifth character in the series, right behind the main cast, seems fitting. His main pose involves him holding his favorite levee board and the overall expression is uncertain. He's unsure of something and thus is very cautious of it, which we can see in the way his left hand is positioned. Neon's hair is very bright and first described in the book as from behind the balcony doors, a young man with acid green hair cautiously steps out towards the president. It used to be brighter, but eventually got slightly lightened as it was initially too painful to look at him. Two colors he has in hair now do bring my coloring artist, my brother that is, a lot of pain to do, but it looks a lot better.
No sacrifice! Victory!
When it comes to his other poses, they represent different stages of his life. The one to the left is Neon as a teenager. His hairstyle is different compared to his more adult hair, and his main unrivaled interest at the time was undoubtedly his levee board. In one of the books, it is described as approaching the few-step staircase, the door suddenly bursts open, and a young man darts outside with unviable agility. From inside, a male voice shouts something after him, but the stranger ignores it. I barely make out his features, only noticing glaring brown eyes, green hair, and a levee board of the same shade. His pose to the right shows him at his lowest. I can't give too much context without spoiling anything, but one of the most prominent features here is that for the first time since his childhood, Neon had no access to hair dye and as such couldn't do anything about his hair growing, showing its natural color. The first thing that caught his eye was the former president's hair. It no longer shimmered with acid green colors, but was completely dull, beige, almost white. Even in the deceptive underground light, it was clear his skin was paler than chalk, as if he had never seen sunlight. Once new, short light ochre coat, white shirt, and black trousers barely hung on his noticeably emaciated body. His lips were chopped and almost blended with his skin. Even his eyes, though remained the same, were covered by a strange time-created haze. The pose in the middle is Neon sometime later. His change in hair color is mentioned as tossing his bright red hair, Neon confidently stepped forward. As if the new hair color wasn't enough, his entire suit was black and white, completely uncharacteristic for him. In this particular version, his suit is not just black and white, but even here we do see darker, much more conservative colors. Neon's side profile didn't require much fixing, if any at all. It was actually quite surprising, but oh well, I'm definitely not complaining. Compared to other characters, Neon is on the shorter end of the spectrum, reaching 1 meter 70 centimeters or 5.6 feet. The next character we're gonna take a look at is one of Tim and Zara's old school friends, Hariton, or as people usually address him, Harry. Hariton is Tim's old-time friend. They met back in primary school and stuck together as a well-coordinated duo for some time before Zack joined them. He's always been more cautious and thoughtful, less eager of any sort of confrontation, especially in contrast to his friends. Harry's exceptional ability to concentrate and overall knowledge paved his way into the publishing industry. First, he edited his classmates' essays, later, after moving to Durham, to study his university groupmates' articles. In the third year of university, however, Hariton started working officially as an editor in a small local book publishing company and quickly found success because of how fast and precise he was with his edits. His natural calmness and extreme politeness benefited him even more, and a few years later, Harry became an editorial director. Hariton had been in relationships with multiple people, but none of them stuck for long. It was quite upsetting as Harry wanted to have a family sometime in the future, maybe even a big one. He was the only child in his own family, and he knew firsthand how lonely it can get if you don't happen to be lucky enough to find good friends. Harry's main pose is supposed to represent his kind, shy nature. Bright clothes have never been his thing, but he does like pastel colors and prefers soft, cuddling outfits. When it comes to his other outfits, the one on the left is his scout uniform. He had never been interested in military or military-related things, but at some point he had to take a weapon in his hands and protect himself and others who he cared about. In this case, Harry's weapon of choice is a sniper rifle. It allows him to be useful in combat while still remaining far away from the fight itself. The description related to this pose says, "Only now did Eleanor see a man with black, glossed hair and a hefty, sophisticated sniper rifle at the ready, standing just behind Jaeger. His dark gray eyes, somewhat crescent-shaped, intently watched Jaeger's back." The pose to the right is Harry from the same time period as the one to the left, but without his scout uniform and weapon. He looks slightly concerned, yet tries to stay calm and collected. The book descriptions are, "The smile on the smooth-shaven face seems sincere." And another description, "I understand. You don't always get to work with someone you know well," Harry said, adjusting his shirt sleeves and then the edges of the knitted sweater over it. Jaeger mentally noted that such clothing suited the man much better than tracksuits. Harry's pose in the middle shows him slightly later, once again demonstrating what kind of clothes he prefers and usually wears, especially in a cozy home environment. On the other side, they were met by Harry. Unlike Zackary, dressed in thick outdoor clothing suited to the weather, he wore a home sweater and light trousers. Much like Neon, Harry is one of the short characters, reaching 1 meter 68 centimeters or 5.5 feet. The last character we're going to cover in this video is Zackary, or Zack for short. He's the last person of the old school friends group, which includes Tim, Zara, and previously discussed Harry. Zackary joined Tim and Harry in the 3rd grade when his family moved to the capital island Hariton. He's never been of a shy kind and proved it from the first day. Red hair has always been somewhere in the middle, possible for both Haritonian and Tarian, which made some people speak on him. Zack returned their pranks tenfold, waging a small war within their class. This is what made Tim and Harry join him at some point, and since then they were practically inseparable. After graduating, Zackary moved to Nompolis, studied there, and found a job as a cameraman, the one he's always dreamed of. Sometime later, he met Clara, they got together, and had a lovely daughter, Lana. Zack had never been particularly dreaming of a kid, but he became a loving, protective father, ready to do anything for his family's happiness. I honestly like Zack's main pose quite a lot. I think it captures his laid-back, straightforward nature, specifically in the way he's standing and how his right hand is casually set aside. He has a little camera necklace, and now that I'm thinking about it, this necklace being an actual little camera would have been a great little thing to add. His left smaller pose mirrors Harry's in the sense that he's also in a scout uniform here, but the equipment he's holding is different. It's actually a shield. I left it deactivated here because it would have taken up a lot of space, but you have no idea how hard it was for me to properly imagine and draw this thing. I've discussed it at length with my groupmate in the middle of my college coursework defense. I got the first place in my section, for your information. Back to the topic of the drawing. What Zack is holding is a handle with the main bulky part being both a protection for the hand as well as a place where plasma goes in all directions, creating the shield itself. The book description of this outfit goes as follows. The person in front of her was a man. As far as I could tell, he was fairly young, although the stubble made him look older. His figure was thin but strong and quite athletic. This was evident even considering his quite dirty and slightly oversized grey tracksuit. The reddish tint in his hair was worn off, resembling faded pale browns. His granite graphite-colored sneakers looked worn. When it comes to the shield, here are some descriptions I based it off of. Their sound was drowned out by a vibrating roar that Eleanor felt throughout her body from head to toe. A bluish haze blocked the view ahead. In an instant it thickened and became more like glass. The glass every single bullet since hit. Eleanor forced herself out of her stupor and stepped back. She could finally examine the blue glass in detail and estimate its size. A sky-colored shield was roughly 1.5 meters long in all directions. With a size like that, slightly curved inward at the edges, it perfectly shielded her from any possible fire. Bullets stuck in it one after another, as if in jelly, and bounced off a second later with a humming sound falling onto the road. The right pose refers to the quote I've already read in Harry's section, which says, "Unlike Zackary, dressed in thick outdoor clothing, suited to the weather, he wore a home sweater and light trousers." Here we need specifically the thick outdoor clothing part. It's not a uniform anymore, but a relatively casual outfit. Another quote related to the same clothes says, "One person stood out in particular, a red-haired man in a dark green windbreaker." The pose in the middle doesn't refer to any particular book description, but rather aims to show another possible clothes combination Zack would choose at home or when it's warm outside, especially since most other outfits are pretty warm. He's a tall guy, reaching 1 meter 90 centimeters or about 6.3 feet, and is one of the few characters I have who has a beard. We will see a couple more characters with this feature later down the line, but when it comes to his beard in particular, I think I'm happy with the way it looks. It doesn't make him look too old, it's not too long for him, and looks like he's taking care of it. Well, we finally reached the end of this episode. I'm glad with the characters we have here, and in the next part, to spice things up a little, we are going to create mostly negative secondary characters. I can't say there are any outright villains in my story, and thus this term should be a good way to cover characters who I believe people might not like, have more questions towards, and similar things like that. But if you have any questions or suggestions, feel free to comment them down below. Reading the comments and replying to them is one of the most interesting aspects about making and sharing videos online after all, at least for me. Also, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to see more content like this. See ya!